How are you?
Great.
Hi. My name's Tye Blue, and Des actually reached out to me about coming to talk to you guys because, I guess for a variety of reasons. I mean, I am a hatchling. I came to Hatch when I was in high school and have kind of gone on and done some things, and came back to Houston last year and put together a show that I raised a fair amount of money for you guys doing, and so when I brought the check over, you know, we were kind of talking about how else I could get involved here, so I just thought, you know, whatever I can do to just lend a voice to you guys, lend an ear, and so then I heard from Des, and we decided maybe I should just come talk for a while and answer your questions and maybe go from there. So I guess I'll just give you a little bit of my story. Let me preface this by saying this is my friend Manny, who is filming this.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm seeing a lot of color back there. Hey, cute. Where to begin? Well, I grew up on a ranch way out, like past Sugarland, in a small town called Needville, Texas. I'm seeing nods. Okay. Went to Needville High School, and while I was there, you know, I don't remember what the schedule is like for Hatch, but what I was doing, I was like a major band nerd. I played saxophone, and so I drove into the University of Houston on Sundays, and then after my saxophone lesson at U of H, somehow I heard about Hatch, and then I started coming after my saxophone lesson to Hatch, and I told my mom that I was going to church. Which I was, because back then it was at a church. It was totally at a church, and so she was all excited because she never took me to church. She thought I had found God or something, and really I had found my gayness. So sounds like a God. I mean, you know, it's who you are. God is inside of you. So I went to Hatch. I guess it would have been 97, 98. That's how old I am, and I remember we did it on Sundays, and I feel like, I don't remember if there were Fridays, I don't know, but it was a very special thing for me because, you know, as I said, I grew up in a tiny town. Like, I was definitely the only gay kid for miles and miles and miles, and I didn't know what it meant. I didn't really understand until I came to Hatch and, made friends who I could connect with on just a human level. You know what I mean? Like, sure, you had your friends from biology, and you had your friends from band, and you had your friends from the drama club, and your friends from church maybe or whatever, but there was always something in the way for me as a friend to those people until I came to Hatch, and that's why I'm really grateful for it, because it was actually a really strong positive influence in my life. I honestly don't know what I would have done, you know what I mean, had I not made friends who were gay. So that was my introduction to Hatch. I stumbled into it, and then I was a regular. I was here like clockwork every Sunday. So I really enjoyed being able to sit in a room with other gay kids who were going through what I was going through, and most of us, ironically, were from small towns, you know what I mean? Very few of us lived in the city. We all lived in the Woodlands and Conroe and Sugarland and Deer Park, and we all came in on these days and just gathered, you know? And it was a very different time then. I mean, I know that because I teach now, and so I have students who are your age, and they're very free in a way that I wasn't, in a way that I'm sure Manny, who also is a hatchling, could not be. So you're blessed in a way that you have this, but also that you can be yourself to a degree. But my goal is to be involved with you guys and just be available to you if you have questions or concerns. My story post-Hatch would be I went to Boston for college. I went to Berklee College of Music, did voice and saxophone stuff there for a year, and then I realized that I had like zero focus. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who I wanted to be. You know, I was 18. I had like been on a ranch for my whole life, and then I was living in downtown Boston. It was such culture shock, and I was just like living the high life. You know, I took out a huge loan, was going out to fancy restaurants and going to my classes and living this like fake life. And so after a year, I decided that I wasn't really where I needed to be. So I actually came back to Houston and did all kinds of odd jobs and got into theater actually, which I had been in previously, but I really focused on it then. I worked, do y'all know Astroworld? Do you remember Astroworld? Have you been, did you ever go to Astroworld? Okay, well that's good. That makes me feel less old. I used to be in all the shows at Astroworld. Like after Boston, I came back and I worked at Astroworld as like a really super cheesy dancer, singer type. Yeah, like polyester.
Or like one of those people that people kind of look at and don't know if to clap or like pay attention.
Yeah. Like you're like, I feel bad for you. Yeah, that was me. Horrible. It was horrible, but it was fun, and it was kind of an extension of, because there were a lot of gay kids working there. So it was an extension of me coming out and also realizing kind of what my professional potential could be as a performer on stage. So it actually, as much as I laugh about it, it was my first gig, you know what I mean, as a singer, as a performer, on stage, doing anything, really, being paid to be on stage. I think they paid us like $10 an hour, and they worked us. So I did that for a while, and then I decided to finish the degree in musical theater, actually. So I went to Sam Houston in Huntsville. Huntsville, anybody? Familiar, slightly? Okay, so it's like an hour north of here. So I went there for 3 years, I did the degree, got a degree in musical theater, performance, and directing, and from there, while I was in school, I was kind of doing more shows here, like at the Alley and Theater and the Stars and stuff, and after school, for a little while I stayed in Houston, then I ended up going to LA. Got an agent in LA and did a lot of commercials and ended up getting cast in the European tour of Hair, Broadway musical Hair. Are you familiar with it? Okay. So I did that. We went all over Italy and it was fabulous and it blew my mind. Got naked all over Italy on stage. Because you have to get naked in the show. Everybody gets naked. So that was interesting. Had fun doing that. Went back home, and then I got, the next thing I did was Rent, the Broadway show Rent.
What character?
I played Steve, and I understudied Mark and Roger.
What part was in Hair?
In Hair, I played Margaret Mead, the transvestite. Yeah, I've done some crazy things. Yeah, so, yeah, in Hair, I played a cross-dressing, I don't know how else to describe it, but it was basically a drag queen role. Margaret Mead, I can't remember the song that Margaret... Do you know?
What?
The song?
Oh, no,
I don't know the song, but here's...
I would just like to say, there's my innocence. I don't remember. So long ago. But anyway, so yeah, and then in Rent, I played Steve.
Which one is Steve?
Steve is the one he's the waiter at the restaurant during La Vie Boheme. He sings Will I Lose My Dignity, that solo.
Can you do that solo for us?
Please. Can you sing that, please?
Like right now?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, Jesus! Okay, sure.
Make us cry.
Okay. I haven't sung it in like 7 years, but all right.
Just do it.
Completely on the spot, but that's okay. That's my job. I got this. I got this. Okay, really? Will I lose my dignity? Will someone care? Will I wake tomorrow from this nightmare? Whew. Okay. There you go. Yeah. So I did that for a while. We went all over Asia, actually, and that was a real eye-opener for me because, I was like 24 or 25 and had never, I went to Italy before that, but going to Asia was such culture shock. They really value culture, they value each other, they value family, they value elders, they value their history in ways that we don't. Their children are programmed to value things that we don't even think about from the time they're able to speak. And so it was just I'm so grateful that I was able to go and do that and just experience other cultures, because a lot of people don't have that opportunity. So I guess the moral of that story is if you ever get paid to go somewhere for work, it doesn't matter where it is. Go and have the experience and just see what other cultures are like. So when I was doing Rent, I got really tired of performing, actually. There was a distinct moment where I remember, because, I was kind of in the ensemble playing a bunch of little small parts. And I remember I ran backstage to change my jacket so I could run back on stage to sing some high note, to come back off stage to change all my outfit, to run on and move a table to the left and then run off stage and put another jacket on and go out and move the trash can. And I just remember, it was a very clear moment. I was like, what am I doing? This is not enjoyable. I don't want to do this anymore. So after that, I ended up in New York by choice and stopped auditioning just because I wanted to use my brain. I didn't want to be somebody's puppet to make their show successful. I thought, I'm going to create something. I want to use these directing skills that I learned in college. I want to, tap into these visions that I have and these ideas and try to create something of my own. And so for the next 3 years or so, I worked as an assistant director on a lot of shows in New York, and actually started getting hired to produce and direct new shows in New York as well, and kind of travel. And anyway, long story short, for about 3 or 4 years I was based in New York working in theater as a director and producer and assisting writers and getting new projects off the ground. And then I missed LA, and so I went back for the sunny weather and nice people and beach time and,